goal on the ATG style Nordic is simply that you have full control all the way down. That's the goal. Now what makes an ATG style Nordic different is we're going all the way down, so we get that full training. And on the way up, we're just trying to get our abs off the surface before we pull behind the knee. So it's more like an athletic movement. You have to think you have two different movements. You have eccentric training on the way down for the hamstring, and on the way up, you have an explosive neural drive, meaning sending the signals of how fast you can create energy through the lower back, glutes, and hamstrings. Now here's the big one that people miss on this. Most people think of the Nordic as either something you can do and it's amazing, or you can't do it and you can't progress. It's all about hip elevation. My biggest contribution to sports training is finding all these areas that people like me who suck naturally can get good at. Now the higher the hip is, the less gravity I'm gonna have to use with my hamstring. So you still explode, you get the abs off first and then pull. So you see this makes it easier. Anyone can work on these Nordics, and then you work lower until you're going to a nice flat surface on the Nordic. And I'm gonna show you, it's really gonna depend on what surface you're on. You probably wouldn't normally do something like this on just a concrete surface, but these are super duper cheap. Most homes have them. And if you put your feet on them, you can get a hamstring workout. There's a whole, technology and technique to doing that. It's not gonna create the overload on the way down that a Nordic creates, not at all. But if you're worried about getting into the Nordic, if you don't have something immovable, you're either gonna have 99% of people will either have a car to use, a bed that's heavy enough, a couch that's heavy enough. You can even lay down on your couch. Let me keep rolling. I'm gonna show something. Ford, I'm gonna show something really quick inside on the massage table really quick. You're just gonna hold my feet down.
Yeah.
You're gonna hold my heels right there.
Are you going for an order?
With all your weight, yeah. So imagine if this was your bed. Make sure I'm gonna hit my head. Yep, okay, hold my heels down. Yeah, you're gonna have to put a lot of weight.
Okay.
So if you do have someone who's still at home during coronavirus, you can do Nordics like this. They have to weigh about as much as you do. Remember, abs up first. That's what makes it a strict Nordic or not. So you can see there's a lot of ways, thanks sir. There's a lot of ways to get into a Nordic from home. The why behind the Nordic, almost forgot, is that when you run and you jump, you're pulling the ground. So if the hamstring is weak, and if you think about the Nordic on the way down, where's the tension? By gravity, there's really not much tension up here. The farther out you go, the tension's really in that usable sports space. So what happens, say you were going for a 1 foot jump, and now you're gonna be pulling the ground. The weaker the hamstring is, the more pressure you put into your knee, and you try to quad the jump instead of staying running on top of it. So there's that secondary effect that the stronger your hamstring is, well, the less unnecessary pressure you're gonna put on your knee, because you're gonna be able to handle the ground with your hamstring. But there's also, you have ligaments in your knee. You have 4 of them, front, back, side to side. So there's also the fact that the Nordic is highly linked to protecting your knee ligaments. You have to think that if your tibialis is weak and your VMO is weak and your hamstring is weak, well then in life, you're gonna have a lot more stress on your knee, a lot more chance of tearing something, because your muscle is the first line of defense there.